Welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone viewing remotely. I call to order the closed session of the Mayor and City Council at 5:33 p.m. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra is not present at the moment. Councilmember Figueroa?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Here.
Councilmember Kelvin is not present at the moment. Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
And Mayor Tran.
Here. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you. We will now convene to closed session at 5:34 p.m. I call to order the open session of the Mayor and City Council at 7:02 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for being here, and thank you to those viewing remotely. I call to order this joint regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino. Pastor Clyde Stewart from Westside Christian Center will lead tonight's invocation, and Adrian Herrera from George Brown Junior Elementary School will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please approach the podium at this time. Yes.
Good evening. Let us go before the Most High and pray and ask for wisdom and insight and togetherness and oneness in this council. I'm a native son of San Bernardino, grew up here, been here my whole life. I pray for this city. So I need you to join your faith with mine, as this is a serious moment as we go and approach the throne of the one and only God to bless this place. Father, I come before you this evening. You saw this meeting, you saw this moment, you saw this invitation, and I pray that you give me the words to inspire this council, to inspire this mayor, to inspire the people of San Bernardino to seek you in your face. We need your light to shine upon this city. We pray that this city will come out of darkness. It will come out of poverty. That resources will come to this city. The right people will touch this city. The right leadership has been risen up. And I pray for the mayor and those who are assisting her in this endeavor to bring San Bernardino out of despair. So precious Holy Spirit, you invoke the spirit of wisdom on this meeting. I pray, Father, for them to be in agreement, for there to be no personal agendas that would stop and hinder the progress of San Bernardino. So I thank you for this, and I praise you for it in advance. And I pray in that name that's above every name. It's Yeshua, our Messiah. Amen and amen.
Please place your right hand over your heart. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Clyde, and thank you, Adrienne. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra is absent. Councilmember Figueroa?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Here.
Councilmember Kelvin?
Present.
Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
Mayor Tran.
Here. Madam City Attorney, is there anything to report from closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one reportable action item with respect to existing litigation in the case of Mosley versus the City of San Bernardino. The City Council unanimously approved a settlement with Councilmember Ibarra absent in the amount of $118,750, and that's all the reportable action that we have.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Before we conduct city business, as a friendly reminder, as elected leaders of the city, we endeavor to be respectful to each other, our public, and especially our staff. Our behavior this evening sets a tone for how our residents, business community, and others view our city. We must conduct city business with professionalism and respectful behavior to build trust, credibility, and move our city forward. We shall commit to these values and foster a positive and productive working environment that is conducive to achieving our goals effectively and efficiently. Moving on to presentations, update to Council on Animal Services Programs and Initiatives. Could we begin with staff's presentation?
Mayor, I'd like to make some comments addressing what happened
We'll get to that when we get to before public comments.
before public comments.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Thank you so much. So tonight I have for you an update on our department and our services that we're offering to the community at this point in time. So first, I wanted to start off with some of the positive things that have been happening at the shelter. We have been undergoing a lot of updates to our facility and programs. So we do have an industrial strength dishwasher on site, so staff doesn't have to hand wash dishes. And there are about 250 dog bowls and cat dishes per day, so that's a lot to try and hand wash. We do have an industrial washer and dryer. And we have cat portals. So for animal services, we have some older cat kennels. In order to modernize them, there's little plastic portals that you can put in between two kennels, and it becomes a larger suite for cats, which is something that's in line with current animal welfare standards. UC Davis came out and helped us install those. We have wrought iron fencing around the shelter to make it more secure. We also have a surveillance video system, and we also have the ability to store more stuff, including food and supplies for the community on site. Our foster program and volunteer program, which started in earnest earlier this year, are off and running. We currently have 106 animals in foster homes. Those are animals that are not in the shelter at the moment. Overall, since February of this year, we've had 240 foster agreements signed. Our volunteer program, we have 41 active volunteers. When I started in 2020, we had 1 or 2, and so this is a huge move forward for us. We have 20, in addition to those 41, we have 27 new applicants pending orientation and an additional 14 in the background check process. The other exciting thing about our volunteer program is that we have groups coming to volunteer at the shelter and looking to us specifically. We've been contacted by Target Corporate and a couple of other groups, especially from University of Redlands, and they're choosing to come to our shelter and volunteer their time to help our animals and our residents. The other really exciting thing that we started is a monthly pet food pantry. We realize there's a lot of need in our community, and we want to help support the residents. So we're having a monthly pet food pantry at the 4th Monday of every month at the shelter. And our next one is going to be on 11/27. Our first pet food pantry was this past month in October, and we had 28 families come through and get help to support their animals. The other thing is that we have partnerships with Lumelin and Grand Terrace. Although they don't bring in a lot of animals, they brought in about 150 total last year. It's an opportunity for us to partner with local jurisdictions and be a leader in the region. The other thing is that we do have nonprofit partnerships for spay-neuter for the community. We've been working with the Lang Foundation, and they offer vouchers to residents who need to have their animals spayed or neutered. So the cost to residents in order to have their animals altered is only $25. So our pending updates, I know Jeff had the opportunity to talk about our brand new mobile spay-neuter clinic that we have. It was delivered 2 weeks ago, and we're working on the final design for the graphics in conjunction with San Manuel. And we're looking forward to having an event to open that up and have an opportunity for the community to take advantage of some low-cost spay-neuter. We're also looking forward to going out into the community and doing some feral cat sterilizations to reduce some of the cat population in our communities. We also launched a high school age volunteer program So they may not be hands-on with the animals, but high school students age 14 and up can now apply to volunteer at the shelter. And so this gives us an opportunity to get youth in our communities involved and talk about some of the issues that we're facing in animal welfare. Our facility, we're working on getting new dog kennel buildings there. We have the concrete pad poured. It takes a while for those things to be constructed just because of the supply chain issues. Most of the dog kennels are stainless steel, and it takes a long time to construct them, so it's about a 6-month process in order to build something like that. And then we're working on office revisions for the new positions that the mayor and council have granted us recently. And this is a lot of data, so it's kind of hard to see. But basically, 2022, we impounded over 5,100 dogs and cats. This year to date, I ran the numbers before I came here. Through October 31st of this year, we've already impounded 5,500 dogs and cats. So for 10 months of the year, we've already exceeded our intake from last year. Percentage-wise, we began this year with a 35% increase over what we started with in 2022. And we've seen a 25% increase in the number of animals coming in, as well as an extension in the length of stay. This is something that I'll talk about in the next slide, but this is in line with trends that we're seeing across the nation in animal welfare. So some of the challenges we have in our region with animal welfare is that overall in our region, we're looking at an aging infrastructure. So our shelter was built in the 60s. It's not current with animal welfare industry standards today. This is not unusual, especially when you have competing priorities. Animal welfare, while important to everybody, is something that we have to look at in relation to the other things that we need in the city. The other shelter that's nearby, the county shelter, they're also older. They're about the same age as we are. And we're really the only 2 providers in this region. Redlands also has an older shelter. We're looking at a population increase in this region, 1% through 2060, I think annually. And so we're looking at getting more people. With more people come more pets. With more pets comes a need for us to service them and their owners. The other thing that we face that's unique to this area is a lack of veterinary resources. We have 1 low-cost spay neuter clinic in our area. That is San Bernardino Humane. They are short-staffed, and the wait to get in there is months-long, and the cost is higher than a lot of our residents can afford. Overall, nationwide, there are 18 vacant positions for every single veterinarian looking for a job. And so we're competing with private industry to bring staff on board who are able to pay a lot more and offer additional bonuses that we can't meet. One of the things that's driving some of the increases I've talked about is the housing crisis. So when people lose their homes, with the eviction moratorium expiring in August, we saw an uptick in animals that were abandoned at homes where people had been evicted. That drives the number of animals coming into the shelter that need our help. There's also some issues with the insurance industry that we've seen drive some of these things. The insurance industry is cutting back or stopping policies for people with specific breeds of animals, including pit bulls and large dogs. Nationwide, dog intakes in 2023 have increased 4% over 2022, and outcomes have only gone up 1%. So there's more animals coming in than are leaving, and that's nationwide. One of the things that we see is also a lack of resources for pet owners nationally. The population that's coming into shelters right now, specifically with larger dogs, is more difficult to treat behaviorally and medically. Of being a regional leader and offering services to other cities in our region. It also opens up the possibility for us to look at a participation agreement or some sort of joint powers agreement in order to offer shelter services. And it would be wonderful if we could lead the charge on that and show the rest of California and the region what we could do. It would also allow us a long-term agreement and commitments to stabilize some of the things that we're seeing, get some additional funding, and build a new shelter. And so as far as funding is concerned, we're looking at a bunch of different models for this venture. One of the things that we'll be bringing back to you is looking at establishing a nonprofit Friends of group that would be able to actively fundraise for programs and services for our region. And the idea is to, for each of the cities who winds up participating, if that's something, the direction that we want to go in, it gives us an opportunity to have people in each of those cities sit on the board and actively, again, fundraise for communities and programs and services. There's also grant funding for programs and services available, and we can also request state or federal funding based on a regional model. Bonds obviously would be an opportunity for us to fund a new shelter, and then other opportunities as available. The proposed new shelter, so that the mayor and city council approved the use of grant funding to get a preliminary design. We do have one, but obviously with the current issue in the region with 3 cities looking for an opportunity for sheltering, that would be an opportunity for us to open that back up and look at a final design to incorporate them. We do have a city-owned property on the southwest corner of Orange Show Road in Washington. And it's close to major freeways and thoroughfares. It would be easy for residents to find and access our services. Right now, we're kind of tucked away behind Target, and sometimes people have a hard time finding us. Low-cost clinic. What we would love to do is to be able to help our citizens. We know that access to veterinary care is a huge issue for our community. If we were to build a shelter with a clinic that could be accessed by our residents, that would help us to help them and help them keep their pets by offering low-cost spay neuter and other services to the community. Shelters that have done this have realized a definite benefit from those programs and services. We also would love to have a resource office to help citizens keep their pets in their homes and out of the shelter. We currently have that cooperation with the Lang Foundation, which has been successful. It would be ideal if we had a new shelter to expand those programs and services to our community. The property that we're looking at has room for expansion on adjacent parcels. And what we would love to make real is a community center for residents and their pets. Pets are increasingly becoming more of the home environment. A lot of people see them as part of their family members. So if we can help support them and their family members by making it a community center, that would be awesome. So the preliminary design, again, has been completed, and we would be looking at whoever moves forward with us to open that up and look at a final design. Obviously, a new shelter wouldn't be realized for several years, so we would need to have an interim solution for housing animals if we were to partner with these additional cities starting in July. We've looked at our current shelter. There are some revisions that will need to be made to accommodate temporary animal housing, but this can be done. And we would look at a phased approach to building a new shelter to occupy both locations simultaneously while a build is happening. The beneficial community programs that we'd like to install currently and then moving forward, we'd like to expand the community outreach we have by adding like a dedicated rescue coordinator who's able to network with nonprofits to place some of our animals needing homes, a dedicated community outreach coordinator who can go out and do some public education pieces to help get at some of the issues we have out there. And then some additional support for shelter attendants and the people that are out there caring for the animals on a daily basis. One of the things that we'd also like to do is offer vouchers for veterinary care. I have applied for a grant from the state in order to try and offer vouchers to residents to utilize at the vets in the community for their animals. All right, this concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Excellent presentation on our fur babies.
Thank you.
Do any members of the council have any questions or wish to discuss this item? Councilmember Calvin?
Thank you, Ms. Watson. That was a great presentation. I just had one quick question. The property that was at the southwest corner of Orangeville in Washington, did you say that was a city-owned property?
Yes, it's currently owned by the water department, but we would be able to work out some sort of agreement, potential lease agreement, or property swap with them.
Councilmember Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Great presentation. Those vouchers that if you should get them, would that be used for citizens to use spade and neutering?
Yes. It could be a combination of things, so it could be up to $500 for spaying and neutering, basic medical care, or dental. What we see coming in through the Lang Foundation is if somebody has their pet who's injured and they need medical care, a lot of times they can't afford it. It comes with a really high price tag. So if they needed help, like their pet has a broken leg, and sometimes with x-rays and blood work and everything, you're looking at a cost of $500 to $700. So if we could offer a voucher that would be $500 and look for a way for them to defray some of that cost, that would help them get their pet treatment, wouldn't end up at the shelter, and it would stay in their home.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much, Ms.
Thank you.
Watson. Okay, at this time, public comments will be heard. In-person speakers will be heard first, followed by remote speakers. To address the City Council, each individual must fill out a speaker slip. A speaker slip must be completed and turned into the City Clerk. Only those speaker cards turned into the City Clerk will be allowed to address the City Council. No late cards will be accepted. Each person should state their name for the record. Please note that at 8 p.m. we will pause public comment and proceed with public hearings, but luckily tonight we don't have any public hearings, so we'll go straight to all of the public comments. If you require Spanish interpretation, we do have an interpreter on site. Please raise your hand at this time to indicate you will need translation assistance. In addition, we have interpreting listening devices available in the back. Please note that the interpreter will be dismissed if we do not have any requests for interpretation by 9 p.m.
Hello? Okay. Thank you very much. I will proceed now with the Spanish announcement. En este momento se escucharán los comentarios públicos. Primero se escucharán los oradores en persona, seguidos con los oradores remotos. Para dirigirse al Consejo Municipal, cada individuo debe completar una tarjeta de orador. Se debe completar la tarjeta de orador y entregar a la Secretaría Municipal en este momento. Solo aquellas tarjetas de orador entregadas a la Secretaría Municipal podrán dirigirse al Consejo Municipal. No se aceptarán tarjetas tardías. Cada persona debe indicar su nombre para el registro. A las 8 de la noche pasaremos a las audiencias públicas y completaremos el resto de los comentarios públicos después de cerrar la última audiencia pública. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos un intérprete presente. Por favor, levante la mano en este momento para indicar que requiere servicios. También tenemos aparatos disponibles para escuchar la Junta en español. Si no recibimos solicitud para los servicios de interpretación antes de las 9 de la noche, el intérprete procederá a retirarse. Thank you. Back to you.
Gracias. Thank you. Okay. Before we open the floor to the public comment, I would like to take a moment and say a few words about what happened at the October 18th, 2023 Mayor and City Council meeting. I would also like to give my colleagues the opportunity to make a brief statement if they would like. During the last council meeting, we experienced a hateful incident that left us shocked, appalled, angry, and hurt. It's imperative to underscore that racism has no place in our city, and the statements made do not reflect the values of our community. San Bernardino is a diverse and inclusive city where we celebrate our differences and work together to build a stronger, more unified community. I want to make it abundantly clear that the comments made during that meeting do not represent the opinions or beliefs held by our city council, staff, or its members. I want to emphasize that the First Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees the right to freedom of speech. This is a fundamental principle that we must respect. However, It's equally important to acknowledge that freedom of speech does not relieve us of the responsibility to maintain a civil and respectful public discourse. Further, I would like to remind everyone that the city has a commitment to civility in the conduct of its public meetings. We encourage members of the public to engage in a respectful dialogue that not only supports freedom of speech, but also values diversity of opinions. Members of the public are expected to maintain a cordial and respectful atmosphere and avoid comments or actions that personally attack others. Members of the public must avoid any inflammatory public comments that personally attack individuals or groups of individuals. The city retains the right to assure that our public meetings are conducted in a civil and respectful manner. Our commitment remains unwavering in upholding the principle of equality, tolerance, and respect for all residents of San Bernardino. We are dedicated to fostering an environment where everyone is treated with dignity and fairness. Council members?
I want to make it clear that the racist comments made by the caller at the last council meeting were offensive and inappropriate and have no place in our council meeting here. This is a time for us to stand together against what happened and not a time to be divided and to point fingers at each other or at the staff or the community out there. San Bernardino has way too many things to do, things that they need to improve, things we need to accomplish. Let's not let this stand in our way, and let's not let racism win. Too many people care about this city to let that happen. So I stand with my colleagues to my left and with San Bernardino in saying San Bernardino strong. Let's stay united and let's put this behind us and move forward.
Thank you. Any other council members who would like to speak? Councilmember Figueroa?
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to express my position in standing with the mayor and my colleagues. I unequivocally condemn and stand against frankly, the vile, disgusting, and repulsive racist comments that were made by these individuals. It's truly disheartening that, that these people were just said what they said. It is inappropriate. It's hurtful, and racism just does not have any place in our city or anywhere else. I did have the opportunity to speak with the mayor prior to the meeting that she hosted last week. I wish I would have been able to be there, but I was away at a family funeral, and so. But I did express my disgust with the mayor. We spoke briefly prior to that, and so I do appreciate you sharing the sentiment as far as our position of racism having no place in our city. It is vile and it's disgusting, and so I appreciate that as well. And so thank you for speaking on behalf of the council as well during that meeting also. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Unfortunately, I was chairing that meeting on the 18th, and that came out of nowhere. And I think we were all caught off guard and in shock at what had been said. I certainly denounce what had been said, and there is no place for that in the public domain, certainly not in our city council meetings. I was accused of not apologizing fast enough, but I would ask anyone to be sitting up here in that position and be hit like a ton of bricks from out of nowhere and be able to respond. And I did apologize. I did apologize, and it's on tape. I said it was inappropriate and wrong.
Please do not be disruptive. That's a warning.
I don't know that I could apologize enough, frankly, to satisfy some people. And I condemn this as well. I stand with my colleagues here and condemn it. I did talk to the mayor on Sunday prior to the press conference and indicated that I could not be there. I had prior engagement Monday and that I was going to be out of town, and that if there was any way I could be back in time to make the press conference, I would. We were kind of, for the few of us that were not able to make it with very, very short notice, we were somewhat chastised for not being there. And I wish I could have been there as well. And I did have a statement that was read by the mayor that I had drafted condemning what had occurred. I want to say a leader in our community who happens to be my neighbor named Hardy Brown Jr. Is a neighbor to me, and he stopped by on Saturday morning at my house, saw me in my driveway, and took the time to stop and actually told me that he thought that under the circumstances that I had handled it exactly right, and that he thought I had done everything according to what I could do under those very stressful circumstances. And I appreciated him reaching out to me and giving me that kind of support, because we didn't get that kind of support that night or actually at the news conference. So I unequivocally denounce what came across in that Zoom meeting, and for what it's worth, I do apologize. I can't control what other people say or do, but I do apologize for what happened that night, albeit I was not able to control it. And again, I denounce it. I think it's totally inappropriate, and I'm sorry that it occurred.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any council members? Councilmember Calvin?
Yes. Good evening, San Bernardino. I thank you all for being here tonight. And I want to just really be able to speak to you from my heart. And there are no scripts here, because no scripts can actually convey the way that I felt, and not only myself, but for a lot of people in this city, because I received a lot of phone calls apologizing. And I thank you all for those calls. It actually took me 2 days. I didn't go to work for 2 days afterwards. And even sitting here right now, I can feel the heaviness on my left from my council members, Alexander and from Reynoso, because again, tonight we're having to relive what actually happened on the 18th. As a woman, to be identified as the B word, that is already horrendous. To be identified as a Black B word is undescribable. Mrs. Malone standing at the podium, those comments were directed at her, but yet every Black woman in the nation now that has been able to see that video, and every woman who's ever been called the B word is still suffering from that. The video went on too long. It showed our vulnerabilities, that we were not able to shut that off in a timely manner. So we had to sit here, and I'm just to be quite frankly honest with you, I was paralyzed because I couldn't turn it off. Because I could not give you the words at that moment to say what is going on and how bad I felt. And even still, right this very minute, it is so hard to describe. But what I appreciate is the amount of community members that are standing in solidarity. The amount of people that are in this city that are saying we will not tolerate this, and that have thought to actually that have thought to actually make a public stand and that have actually reached out to Councilmember Alexander and Reynoso and myself. My colleagues have not reached out to me. So while they are standing here today saying that they apologize, I would have appreciated to have a phone call to say, Councilmember Calvin, we are sorry that you had to sit there and listen to that. And we do stand with you and we do denounce racism. But this is not, at this particular moment in time, for us to continue to say what we already know. Racism does exist. But it is the actions that come behind that. To say how we as a community, how we as a city of San Bernardino will stand together to make sure. Because an injustice, as my council member Reynoso stated last Monday, an injustice against any of us is an injustice against all of us. So our actions have to be behind the words of which you hear this evening. And as City of San Bernardino did establish and accept a resolution in 2020, what does that mean? What is the ask? How do we put that into action? That is what I'm going to be looking forward to. And I will also be looking forward to San Bernardino PD finding out who was actually on that call. In moving forward, we just have to continue to keep our eyes on what it is that we want to see for our city. And that is what I intend to continue to do as your representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further comments? Councilmember Cavan, I just want to express that I did reach out to you as soon as I got back into town, just checking with you, or Councilmember Reynoso and Alexander. I just want to really express that.
My apologies. The mayor did reach out to me on that Saturday.
Okay. Next, we are going to go to speakers. We have 32 speakers tonight, each 3 minutes. Madam City Clerk.
Okay, the first individual is Hardy Brown, followed by Cheryl Brown, Ricky Van Johnson, Amy Malone, Tobin Brinker, and Gigi Hanna.
Good evening, City Council and members of our community. First of all, I want to say just a point of personal privilege. I am devastated that I was called those names and told to go back to a country. We built this country. I was devastated. And no, I didn't get over it, and no, I'm not getting over it until we do something to correct it. But let me tell you what Hardy Brown says. He says, I was at the meeting when the two voices interrupted Amy Malone, who was speaking at the podium. I will not repeat what she said, but they insulted the black citizens of America and all decent people everywhere. This happened on your watch, at your meeting, and as you often say, this is your meeting. Now I ask you, what are you going to do about it? Since I believe some of your actions have contributed to what happened on October the 18th. I continue to investigate the entire recruitment selection and process for the city manager because it's riddled with lots of questions and Brown Act violations. My assessment so far. From my years of experience in working in civil rights, employment discrimination of every kind, there's more than an incident, but there's always some things that took place before that incident. I have some emails written by council members, and I believe that it points to that in that direction. This kind of racial incident requires more than words, but actions on your part before any healing can begin. Trust has to be built by positive action. Fear must be replaced in our women and our children that makes them feel safe in this city, and especially City Hall. When the KKK marched in Fontana, some of the Jewish employees at Kaiser came to me in personnel and wanted to know what they could do to feel safe. We developed some ideas to reduce their anxiety. Some were able to leave work early because the sun went down. Others teamed up with coworkers where they were going to lunch and going in the parking lot, all because the KKK marched, said nothing. It was a time that the KKK represented this area. I'm not saying that the two voices were KKK, but the word stated at your last meeting was taken by the Black community as though it was them. Let me say, in closing, welcome to San Bernardino, Mr. Montoya. It's not like this all the time, but we wanted a welcome party, but this came up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, my comments are this. This is serious business we're dealing with when it comes to fighting racism in the city of San Bernardino. Mayor Tran said in the newspaper, what happened last week at the city council meeting does not define our city. I say what happened is sadly a continuation of a long history of deliberate discrimination and racism in our city. I say this because some council members have sent out emails to some other council members and staff that Ibarra, is not here tonight, is seeking equal treatment of a city-sponsored town hall meetings like the ones held in Ward 6 recently, accusing the Black city manager, the interim city manager, of giving Ward 6, Kim Calvin, preferential treatment. This was a signal that caught the attention of the council member Sanchez. So Sanchez jumped on the racial bandwagon and disagreed with the response that the staff sent back to Ibarra. And the staff informed Ibarra of how many times the city staff had been in Ward 2 at her request to inform her residents of what had been done in the city. Sanchez ended his comment by saying to Mr. McNeely, I ask you to be cognizant of the fact that you're a short term in your remaining tenure. We are certain that they have this kind of racial conversation with outside friends, which led to the outburst of the racial epithet toward Black citizens in San Bernardino. This city said it was okay to build a freeway, and all the on and off ramps went to the white community. It was okay to tell the Black medical doctor, my next door neighbor, Dr. Henry Holder, and his wife, Belva, a school teacher in the district, to go buy a house on the west side where your people live. They also told a Black certified public accountant, Mr. Newby, the same thing. All they wanted to do was live in a house in Del Rosa to be closer to where they worked. When a coalition of whites, Latinos, and Blacks worked together to appoint the first school board member, Dr. John Woods, racism surfaced, and they recalled him. When some Black youths were protesting in Delman Heights, it was Mayor Ballard who put shotguns on the fire trucks and said they were hoodlums. There are many, many other examples like that in the past. We fought back and we won. Now there are 3 Blacks on the school board. There's one on the County Board of Education. The freeway off-ramps and on-ramps have been changed to the west side. And we know that you do not like having 3 outspoken Blacks on the council to serve with you. Believe it or not, Black people live all over this city, and they live in your wards too.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Ricky Van Johnson. At the last meeting, when 5 of you voted for Charles Montoya to become city manager, only one of you commented as to why. Councilmember Sandra Ibarra proceeded to give her support of this item with some ostentatious comments. When your justification of your decisions allows for mediocrity to infest our city, something's wrong. With this being the top paid position in the city and with the residents' opposition to the appointment, we deserve to know what were the rest of you thinking when you made the decision to lift Mr. Montoya from his couch and pay him a salary of $325,000. What was on your mind? Inquiring minds need to know. Because this hire is about to cost us, and you are setting the city and Mr. Montoya up for failure. How you say? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you how. With Mr. Montoya's history of filing litigation, you can best believe that there is going to be a cost to pay. He already showed you who he is, and history does have a way of repeating itself. As far as Mr. Montoya, have you taken a good look at him recently? I do not mean to be facetious, but his appearance does not correspond with his appearances in past photos. He presently does not appear to be physically up for the challenge of the task at hand. Working in San Bernardino is stressful as it is, but occupying the top job in the city is way more stressful, and I do not think that he will be physically able to handle it. And going back to the meeting on October 18th, when Mayor Pro Tem Fred Charette gave the incoming city manager an opportunity to speak to advocate for his job. That has never been done in the history of selecting a city manager. Historically, only the applicant's record spoke for itself in this venue. It gets worse. Mr. Montoya proceeded to casually sit down on the edge of the stage to address the residents in attendance, showing no respect for those present that night. Someone in the audience had to tell him to stand up. I have never witnessed such a cavalier attitude from someone who was attempting to be selected to lead. Finally, as I stated in the last city council meeting, danger, mayor and city council, danger. We are now in the danger zone, and someone will be held accountable.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
My name is Amy Malone. I'm a resident of San Bernardino. I live in Ward 4. I was the person who was speaking at the last meeting and was interrupted by verbal attacks, because we're going to call it what it was. It was an attack. We can say words, slurs, but that was an attack on me and anybody else that sat in this room and did not agree with it. Anybody in this room that is not a racist, that was an attack. And anybody who sat and was passive about an apology or a statement about that, I think you need to check where your values are. I really do. Because saying that you don't agree with the words or that the words were disgusting, that's something that takes action. It's not a speech that has been written by you, your attorney, or anyone else. That should come from the heart. So, Councilwoman Calvin, thank you. Thank you for saying what you felt. Thank you for contacting me and asking me if I was okay, because I wasn't okay. Many people in this room that night were not okay, because there was nothing okay about what happened. But it was very casual, because you went on with business as usual. You went on after I stood in this space and were called names that no one should be called. You went on with business as usual. Mayor Tran, you were on the phone and you said your speech is business as usual. You did not contact me to even see if I was okay, and I got contacted by I don't know how many people in the city. My number was easy to find because I was called by many people, but not you, until someone asked you, hey, have you spoken with her? Councilman Charette, I live in your ward. You sat before me and sit here tonight with the audacity to say, I want to see you sit before me and handle it differently. Well, I stood here before you and I handled it differently. So don't tell me. I was not going to say this, but I think it's insulting to everyone who is against racism to sit here and tell us, oh, handle it a different way, or I handled it the best way I could. No, sir, you did not. You should have handled it better. You were elected to that position to handle it better. Mayor Tran, you were elected to that position to handle it better. So everyone that looks like me should be comfortable standing here. Anytime they have something to say, it is their civic right.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Tran. I'm here tonight in my capacity as the board chairman for the San Bernardino area of Habitat for Humanity affiliate. We have multiple projects underway in the city, and we currently have 3 houses that are on the ground, almost ready to go. 2 of them are at 9th and 8th Street, and another one is a block up on 10th Street. Next year, we hope to break ground on 4 more houses in San Bernardino as part of our veterans build. First, I want to thank all of you for always supporting Habitat for Humanity. Many of you have volunteered at our events and helped us to overcome challenges in building in our city. Habitat for Humanity is a wonderful organization that helps people to get a home of their own. We offer a handout for families, which is particularly needed in the current housing environment that has priced many prospective buyers out of the market. We currently have 3 single moms who are ready and waiting to take ownership of these new homes. These amazing women have completed over 500 hours of community service as part of Habitat's sweat equity requirement. We need to get them and their families into these homes before the end of this year. We have 2 months, but we faced many obstacles along the way. For the 3 builds, we've tried something new. We purchased manufactured homes. The idea was to lower the building costs and hopefully to speed up the process. Sadly, neither of those aspects worked out exactly the way we expected. We had to pay storage fees because it took longer than expected to get city permits to allow us to place the homes on the lots. Then once we had the homes on the ground, we had to deal with theft in the neighborhood, and which meant that we spent thousands of dollars to provide private security for those homes, which allows me to pivot to one of the strong selling points of Habitat for Humanity. We actually improve the neighborhoods that we build in. I'm certain that the private security that we paid for to monitor our property actually helped to reduce crime in that neighborhood for all of those houses. Our latest challenge has been our inability to hook up with the water and sewer so that we can connect the houses. Usually those are found at the curb, but because San Bernardino is an older city, we're learning that sometimes those connections are further out into the street because the streets have actually changed over time. We had an estimate, and it's going to cost us approximately $60,000 to get that project completed and get those hookups done. We came here tonight to ask for public help, not necessarily from the city, from any good-hearted people in the community. We're looking for a company that's willing to maybe donate the materials or the labor to help us to finish these projects and connect them with the water and the sewer. We want to get these 3 families into their new homes before the new year begins. These single moms will be homeowners. They will pay the mortgage. They've already put in the 500 volunteer hours to qualify. Now we're asking for other people to help us. We hope that if you want to help, you can find us online. It's really easy. Just Google Habitat for Humanity in San Bernardino. We're a great organization. We're doing good work to help good people into homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager. I'm Gigi Hanna. I'm the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity San Bernardino area. And I'm here tonight with Tobin to remind you that it takes a village to build our homes. We do it with partnerships. We partner with homeowners, we partner with donors, volunteers, corporate volunteers, city departments. You all have been very supportive of Habitat in general, and this build in particular. You guys came out on cleanups, you've participated in fundraisers, and what we're asking for right now, and I wanted to thank all of you who showed up to our cleanup in August, and city departments, city council, We Are the Change, a bunch of neighborhood groups, the neighborhood council. So we are so appreciative of all your help, and we're just asking for a little tiny bit more. And in addition to the road work that we are looking to get done at 9th and H, we also need some irrigation and landscape plans. So if anybody out there has that kind of skill and equipment and material, we would love to talk to you about donating to Habitat for Humanity. Again, you can contact us at habitatsb.org. You can email me directly at ghanna@habitatsb.org. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
The following speakers: Kim Noss, Luis Ojeda, Chachi Wright, Kesha McGee, Joyce Smith, and Christian Flores, and Mike Hartley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Kim Canos, a longtime resident of the city of San Bernardino. I've been here since 1984. Many of you know me in my capacity as the Senior Field Representative for Supervisor Joe Baca Jr. with San Bernardino County. But long before that, I started the Verdamont Revitalization Project, also known as the VRP. This was a small grassroots community organization that I formed to bring positivity in my community and address some of the community concerns. We were aimed to be solution-oriented and be all about action. We worked with our local police department to address some of the concerns about crime in our community. Another concern that was expressed was the need for a community center. We wanted a place for our community to congregate, to have programs, to have resources. So I helped lead the charge to have the Verdamont Community Center rebuilt. We had a community scoping meeting in 2019 where we were able to bring out over 70 community members. We extended a survey online, getting more feedback from over 100 community members that again expressed the desire to have a brick and mortar community center. We have a wonderful Parks and Rec director, Liddy. We are so pleased to have you, and you've done amazing work, and I know that you're working hard to get us that. But I also know that we still needed much more for our community. We needed a little bit more for programs and resources. So I'm so honored to be here today to share that I was able to secure $40,000 for the Verdamont Community Center. Much needed resources that's going to go towards after-school tutoring for our children, for senior citizen activities. That community center is highly used by the senior citizens of our community. So I'm very happy that a portion of that's going to be designated specifically for them. And then also for movie nights in the park. We also led the charge to bring movie nights back to our community. That was a goal to help just bring a sense of community. That's what we need here in San Bernardino. We need to all come together to be on one accord. We're one city. So I'm happy to have also secured funding specifically for our movie nights in the park. That is agenda item number 8. And again, I'm so honored to have secured this for my community. I'm all about hard work and doing action-oriented things. It's a pleasure for me to be able to announce this today. And I look forward to continuing to work with my city, with my community, and to bring positivity to the city of San Bernardino. So thank you.
Next speaker. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Chachi Wright. I am the San Bernardino Branch NAACP president. I was here last week. I spoke just before Amy, before she was attacked. I was also here on Monday, last Monday, when we had the press conference. And as it already has been stated, I was very disappointed to not see the full council present. Councilman Charette, you stated that you didn't feel supported when the incident happened, and you stated where you were coming from. Imagine how we felt when we went to the city council press conference in an effort to be there in solidarity with everyone, only to see the few members that we know would give us our support. This was a very good effort, or this very good opportunity for us to show a collective effort on how we were united in San Bernardino. And unfortunately, you did drop the ball. Now, Theodore, I will give you credit where it's due. You did show up at the end. We spoke, and as I stated then, we definitely will have to have a conversation. All of us will have to have a conversation. And I'm pretty sure you guys are hearing it, and you're listening to us say these things, and you're like, what more can we do? Well, I'll just give you a quick synopsis. You can start being proactively reaching out to us, not letting things happen, but being ahead of the things before they happen. You can be more proactive in engaging us with intention. I had to ask Amy, had she heard from you, Mayor? And we spoke on Sunday. You should have spoke to her before you spoke to me. I'm not here to try to berate you all. I am here to mainly drive the point that we as a community need more from you. I know it's a lot. I'm out here doing a lot, and I know I'm not doing enough. So I need you guys to recognize that whatever you think you're doing, you still need more to do. Further still, again, reach out to us, and let's be more intentional about making change. Let's not send statements. Let's not say, hey, I hate to see that happen again. Let's do more about stopping it from happening again. You should be receiving a list of demands if you have not, but in those demands, we expect that to be done within the next 30 days. We'll have it on our website at naacp.org, San Bernardino naacp.org, for those who are interested in seeing that. And just in case you guys did not read it, it will be there, and we will be back to make certain that some change and some impact has been done with regard to those demands. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
My name is Elder Keisha McGee. I attend Life Center Church here in San Bernardino, and I am an organizer within the Congregations United for Change. I want to talk to you about the dangers of structural sin. Structural sin is sin that is built into the structures of society. It has existed in our government, laws, public safety system, and even our cultural customs. These structures create racism, injustice, and inequities that we've seen throughout the course of history and on October 18th. The Bible tells us that sin amounts to a revolt against God and his authority. It is a transgression of God's law and a violation of his character. When sinful things belong to a society, it is not an individual sin, but all bear the mark of the sin. The Old Testament prophets often talk about how the nation of Judah was guilty before God, and even those that were righteous bore the price of the nation's sin. And just like Judah, Charette, Ibarra, Sanchez, Figueroa, and Mayor Tran bears the price of sin for the individuals that were allowed to shout out hateful, disgusting, racist words. I know you cannot control what people say, but what you can control is making sure that it's protocols and structures in place where your virtual outlets are secure and run professionally and properly. You all should have done what was right from the beginning, and because you did it, apologies is not acceptable. It is now about accountability for the profound impact it did on my community and myself. Council can also stop the revolving door of city managers and thoroughly vet a city manager instead of hiring one who was fired for violating employment agreement, the city's charter, the city's manager's code of conduct and policies, who deflected and misled staff and council regarding his residency, who made unauthorized spending and refused to repay back funds that were dispersed to him in error, further setting the city up for failure. It is your moral and civic duty to make sure that we are not placing people in position that will continue to breed structural sin. The danger in not doing this is many lives who will suffer for your inability to govern in integrity and doing what is just. The danger in this is the continual narrative that San Bernardino is a broken city.
Thank you.
The most danger of all is answering to God about how you treated the people who were entrusted into you.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Smith. I've lived in San Bernardino since the age of 4. My father worked very hard to find us a decent house to live in on the west side of San Bernardino. There was a group that came to our PAC meeting to ask permission to put a truck storage area on our side of the town, and we said absolutely not, no. But they're there. How did they get there? The city planning is responsible for them being there. They've done nothing to make them move. They're still there. We want them out. We want them out of our neighborhood. What are you going to do about it? Let me know. That's my question. And everybody that lives on that side of town is concerned about the trucks that are being stored on the west side of San Bernardino. And as to what happened here on the 18th of October, I truly agree with all of you that denounces what you allowed to happen here. You got our votes to be in place, Tran. I voted for you. I hope I didn't make a mistake. And I hope you prove that you're going to change and do something about the racism here in San Bernardino and not let it grow and get out of hand as it already has. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello. Christian Flores, community organizer with Inland Congregations United for Change and various community coalitions. I guess what I'm here to echo is concerns in regards to what happened in regards to the, verbal attacks that were experienced here at City Council on December 18th, because it should serve as a reminder for everybody that needs it, myself included, that Black people and families are at the forefront of discriminatory acts of violence in this country, in the world, and in this city, as has been made evident as of last City Council meeting. And it is part of what influences the work that we do in the community and in coalitions. One example being able to prevent the racist voices that spoke up at that meeting from being able to weaponize and use policies to be able to further inflict damage onto other community members and prevent them from being able to even maintain their homes with the crime-free housing policy. That being said, I just want to say I urge all of you to work together with the Inland Empire Concerned African American Churches, COPE, the NAACP, and stand by them as we do on this matter to make sure it's addressed, because even though it was just a slip of technology that allowed that to happen, it reflected a reality of what the people in this community face day to day. And I just want to say that I have the utmost respect and appreciation and admiration for you, Ben, Kim, and Damon, for speaking up and speaking your truth. Just, further shout out, because Ben, your leadership is part of what made that decision in 2020 for the policy of declaring racism a state of public health emergency. You were pivotal in that happening. So much love, and I'm looking forward to your leadership and working together with us and with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Ojeda, President and founder of We Are the Change. And let's make a little bit of history tonight. I'm going to be speaking interrupted, Mayor.
Please do not disrupt speakers. They have their moment to 3 minutes to speak, please. Thank you.
Can I get my time back, please? I mean, I was interrupted.
Please continue.
Okay, so when we talk about civility, respect, and not being divisiveness, and this is what we get, I think we need to start by respecting each other. So I'm gonna be able to finish my comment or not, Mayor?
Sir, you can, please. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
I lost like 30 seconds already. So anyway, so We Are the Change was born back in 2017. It was an election year as well. And we reached out to the candidates. One of them was Jesus Medina, that was running against Mr. Charette. And the other one was Ms. Beltran and Cecilia Nolan. And I was, new to the city. And I was like, hey, have you noticed that we have piles of trash all over San Bernardino? And they say, yes, we have. I said, why don't we do something about it? And that's what we started doing. In the 6 years that we've been doing the cleanups, we were able to picked up over 500 tons of trash, okay? And then we transitioned into SV Food Fest to bring economic life back to the downtown. And many of you have been there. It was very successful. And right now, we're going to start a new project, okay? And as before an election time, I want to invite all the people that is running for re-election, okay? If you guys are about talking the talk or walking the walk. So I'll be reaching out to you guys soon to see if you guys are willing to work for the change or you guys only wanted to talk about that. Remember, Mr. Sanchez, when you went to one of my cleanups when we were a candidate? So, and that's what we do. We do. We don't talk about doing. And sometimes, people don't like us because we deliver. But also have a radio show on the Spanish radio station. And all of you that are running are welcome to come. Of course, you need to bring your own translator, okay? And also, I would ask in a very respectful way to all of the candidates that in every meeting, community meeting, don't forget about the Spanish-speaking community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Mike Hartley. Me being a critic of the code enforcement, I have told you several times that I have had CRMs in many CRMs, I bet you over 100. Well, now I'm starting to get replies. And here's one of them. I got about 10 of them today. With respect to your request, blah, 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 the number, thank you for contacting the City of San Bernardino. The issue you reported was resolved, but was not previously closed in the reporting system. Although we resolved the issue when reported to us, we did not communicate that information to you until now. As we continue to improve our response times and communications with the community, the responses you receive for service requests submitted will be responded to you promptly. If for any reason there is any discrepancy and the issue reported is still of concern, please contact us. We appreciate you taking the time to report city-related concerns. This is in reference to the problem on code enforcement you submitted on 3/30/2022. I've got 100 of them. You guys keep on promoting CRM, do CRMs. Citizen relationship management. What a crock of crap. That has HR written all over it. It means absolutely nothing. There is no relationship with this city. You guys are just putting this city in the trash. You see it every day when you drive around. Quit promoting it. Do something. I'm done.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk?
Devonna Robertson, Faye Altridge, John Luna Malibu, Dolores Armstead, and Treasurer Ortiz.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Good evening, Devonna Robertson. In 1964, Malcolm X said, "The most disrespected person in America is the black woman." And at the last board meeting, we seen a live example of just that. I started not to come up and make public comments because I thought it would be a waste of my time to speak to folks who might not see the humanity in folks who look like me. But instead, I was nudged to say a few words, and so I will say this. Although those comments that were made on the 18th may not be tied to anybody on the diocese, what we do know is that comments like that in this country have preceded the beatings, the mutilations, and the lynching of black bodies in this country. And so although they were just words, to certain folks, there is a visceral response that we have to hearing things like that. And although I cannot say that these comments are connected to anybody at the diocese or that these are any of your personal feelings, what I can say is that the level of disrespect that is seen from the diocese, from certain individuals, when the community members come before you to speak, just as Ms. Amy said, to live out their civil duty, the level of disrespect that I myself have witnessed time and time and time again speaks volumes, as well as the fact that some chose, for whatever the variation of reasons were to not stand in solidarity with your other board members that look a certain way, who look like the folks that were spoken about via Zoom or whatever. You guys didn't even have the decency to stand in solidarity. But that's all right, because what I do know is that your legacies will outlive your time in these seats. And so, you have a choice on what you want your legacy to represent. What side of right will you be standing on? And what I do know is that this city of San Bernardino that I have lived in my entire life, and I am a proud resident, does not belong to any individual on the diocese, including the mayor. It belongs to all of us. And so, I would encourage you all to let this moment that just passed be a lesson. So we live in America. We know, Mayor Tran, I am not expecting you to fix racism. It's not your job. Now, any one person can do that, but collectively, we can make sure that those things that Mrs. Brown spoke about that have happened in this city, plus many more incidents like that, do not continue to go forward from this day on. That's what we can do together, collectively. And so I would encourage you all. And see, again, like I didn't even want to come up here because I thought it would be a waste of my energy to try to speak to folks who might not see the humanity in me. But this is my city just as it is yours, and you all have a responsibility to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, my name is Faye Aldridge. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm here because I left each one of you one of these. This is from the Holocaust. It's a poem that showed how when you don't support somebody that doesn't look like you, I don't identify with, eventually that's going to come upon you. And so when you discount things that happened on the 18th to Mrs. Malone, I got upset. I was listening to that broadcast that night, and it took me all the way back to my childhood. All the way back. I was born before civil rights. We used to spend our time, our vacations in the South, and I witnessed Jim Crow. And that's what shook me to my core. And you have to know that. And I'm still here. I'm still vital. I can still think. You have to realize you can't discount those things. When that subhuman insulted Malone, it shook me up. And for you folks to not show up for the next day to that press conference, that made me even more upset that 3 people from the city council is there, 4 of them are not. And you have to realize how that bothers me as a citizen, because I grew up during a time where folks were being lynched. I was a little kid, but I understood. And if you don't, you need training in it. And it needs to be updated. I'm serious. Because you can't discount a federal hate crime and call it a misdemeanor. And I want you to take this, if you have to put it in a notebook or frame it on the wall in your office, do it. I'm a social worker. And what bothered me is that, Figueroa, is this the new best case practice that's happening now, where you don't show up when half of your constituents are being traumatized, I mean, you need to consider things. And you know, I think that I'm so upset now that I'm not speaking my mind correctly, but I feel like, I don't know. It makes me shake my head and wonder, are we going forward or backwards? I told Mr. Alexander, Damon Alexander, it feels like we're going 3 steps forward and 2 back. And this is 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
And I want to say that I am not a nigger, okay?
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, I'm Malibu. I've been coming, I got a Citizen of the Month award back in 2016. I say that to say I worked with everybody up there. Some of you have not even been here that long. And I reached out to Ted, and I know you don't know me that well, and so I'm gonna give you a pass on not responding, because you probably were like, this crazy lady might say anything to me. I'm not gonna respond and get myself into trouble. I'm just being honest with you. I reached out to the mayor. I think you got me blocked, I'm not sure. Why, I don't know. But we used to exchange photos before you got that position. And when I went to respond to you, I'm blocked. I don't know why, but I find that to be very disrespectful, okay? Ben, I don't know how to contact you. I don't have a number for you, so I did not reach out to you. Kim, Kim, we reached out to each other. I called you and you called me as well to check on me. I reached out to Alexander. We had a conversation. I reached out to Sandra as well. She's not here, but I did reach out to her and we spoke. The saddest thing about everything is we're being painted as a racist city, and we're one of the most diverse cities it is. And so when we start playing into stuff, and Fred says, well, I'm sorry, you know, well, I can't control that. It's like not an apology. You have to say, I'm sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen, and then leave it. And then that feels like an apology. But when you go and say, well, I couldn't this, and it wasn't my fault, then it doesn't seem like a sincere apology. That's just my advice to you. Right? And I'm glad that the neighbor came and spoke to you, but too bad you didn't reach out to her when it was happened to her and she's in your ward. That didn't make sense to me. So like the situation happened on 4th Street, and I got calls saying, hey, the police is gonna snatch, the city's doing this, and the people this and that. I went to 4th Street after a lot of organizations and a lot of pastors had tried to get a resolution there. I did that. My organization came and worked with Jeff, and worked with when him negotiated, he's like, Malibu, I can't promise you anything, but if you negotiate something, I'll take it back to the city. We negotiated $100, he took it back to the city, and the city did 200. That's the type of city that I work with. That's what I want to see. Us work collectively to do the people's business, right? So my thing was, I didn't show up to the march because for me, racism isn't at the top of my agenda. We know it exists. A march wasn't gonna do nothing. I would have liked the march to be against violence. We have a big violence problem in San Bernardino. While everybody was talking about racism, even people in my community, why those people sitting on that side? They've been sitting on that side. But this is the type of mess that's going on, right? That's not okay. I have a program that I would like to introduce to the city, Healing Women. There's a lot of programs, but there's no programs geared to healing women that have lost a lot of lives in San Bernardino due to violence, okay? We can keep pointing fingers, but we need a solution, and I feel like I have one.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
First, people do not lose sight of why there were so many protesting the CM decision at the last meeting. The strategy, what you heard, was to get you to focus on something other than they're hiring a corrupt city manager. Almost worked. Remember, we are protesting the ultimate corrupt city manager chosen by this mayor and the left side of the council. Montoya has been fired from 4 cities, 3 states, for corruption, stealing from the city, and blatant insubordination. And I don't think the military is proud of you representing them. Ms. Ibarra, 4 cities already gave him a second chance. It speaks about his character. They actually found someone lower than Kerrigan. You guys looked hard to find someone lower than Kerrigan. San Bernardino deserves better. But I've got gifts for some of you. Mr. Sanchez, Bobble, you have declared San Bernardino to be the city where you pay to play, and you are the gatekeeper. You get Chief Bobblehead for calling the shots. Ibarra, I know you hear me. You are really a #1 most loyal bobble, okay? Now remember, when you falsely stated Treasurer was terminated from her position, and I made a false statement under oath. First, Treasurer was not terminated. Next, I made a statement regarding a unanimous vote by the Planning Commission, which I corrected on the podium that it was a majority vote. So you still lost, okay? Did you inform everyone that you were terminated recently? Maybe you should have brought that up. Now, I just found out I had the right to rebuttal Ibarra's statement, and the attorney didn't tell me anything. And I have the right to sue Ibarra, which means the city's gonna pay for it. I just found that out. Ibarra, bobble, bobble. 1, dog it, dude, you just don't do anything. So all I have is a bobble. Mr. Charette, you are also a loyal bobble. There are times when the community thinks you're going to plant a big one on your leader. There was a time when you were considered a good councilman. You were when you started. What made you fall? And what made you go so low? Bobble, bobble, bobble. Mayor, you were so proud to be the city's first Asian American mayor and the first Vietnamese mayor in the United States. That was to be your legacy. Now, your embarrassment to the city and to the community. You have shown that you can be bought and paid for. Weren't you a director for many years?
Thank you.
Sadly, I'm going to say one more thing.
Thank
if you
you.
were a director, why did you hire something like that?
Thank you, ma'am.
Bobble, bobble. Oh, and ladies, you got lips, lipstick,
Thank
so you
you.
can kiss.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, residents of San Bernardino, mayor and council members. I am John Luna. I'm here in my capacity as a regional policy advocate with the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. It's also known as CHIRLA. We're headquartered in LA, but we have an office in downtown San Bernardino in Ward 1 on the Chase building, right next to the old City Hall building. And first of all, I want to start by condemning and denouncing those hateful comments that occurred in the last city council meeting. I wasn't here. CHIRLA didn't have a presence here. However, we read on the news, we watched the news, and it was absolutely unacceptable. So I'm so sorry you had to experience that. And to the immigrant community stands in solidarity with the Black community. Other than that, I'm here because of item 11. It's my understanding that it was pulled out of the agenda, but I still want to reference it. It's the proposed administrative policy establishing the municipal volunteer program for the offices of elected officials. Specifically, I am requesting that you add language regarding the immigration eligibility criteria for volunteers. There's currently none. I checked with the city clerk's office and with the human resources department, and there isn't anything. And I'm asking you to consider, on behalf of CHIRLA, that the program be open to anyone regardless of their immigration status. So from high school to college students to seniors, this program would provide the ability for folks to engage in local government where they have lived, worked, and they've contributed their entire lives. So this city deserves, and the residents of this city deserve that kind of opportunity. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Dr. Treasure Ortiz. Last meeting was a lot, and I just want to say to Ms. Malone, the level of dignity and respectability to stand there and have something like that happen in an open meeting was just beyond expectation. But that is the expectation of African Americans, not only in the city of San Bernardino, but the country throughout, to have to stand and take it. And the response, or lack thereof, the lack of apology or recognition is also something they have had to stand and take since their existence in this country. But I want you to know something. As Ms. Dolores says, it is a distraction. It is very much a distraction from the heart of why we were there. But I don't want you to believe that this is a Latino and white thing against the Black community, because that's what they want. And as a Latina, and just as a decent human being, what happened to you will never, ever be okay or justified. And we will never just move on and beat racism until people fully acknowledge it. You can't drive on 3 tires and have one flat and think you're getting anywhere, Mayor. So please do not do that. We are here tonight because you guys thought, the majority of you, thought it was okay to hire a man with a horrible history of management. A person that has been fired multiple times through the existence of public records and court documents. You have put that Helen, Fred, Juan, Theodore, and Sandra in front of us. And I don't care how much Sandra Ibarra lies and wants to attack the public on their public reputations, it will not change hers. I do not care how much someone wants to lie about my professional history, it doesn't change his. And let's talk about his history in this last week of canceling meetings with staff, of not showing up, of people having speculation as to his ability to hold a conversation in a level of sobriety that is acceptable of a city manager. You are responsible for him. He started yesterday, and this is already what's on the table. It's not even about filling shoes of Charles McNeely. He can't even fill the suit that he used to wear in Arizona. You want to come with a 1950s response? With a 1950s response to racism, you are going to get a 2023 reaction. We are matching energy. Do not mistake this community as uneducated or tired. They are here and they are present, and we will meet you every text, every way, every meeting, step by step, until this city changes for the better. Because if not, we will continue to fail for the next 50 years.
Thank you. Next speaker, Madam City Clerk.
Georgia Al, Anthony Al, Bernard de la Garza, Keith Benitez, Ulises Benitez, Makaya, Rabbi Hillel Cohen, Tim Prince.
Please state your name.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Georgia Lacrezos. Before I begin talking, I know that Council Member Calvin just left. I would just appreciate that everyone please just listen to what I have to say. I know a lot of times I see a lot of chatting amongst each other, and I consider it very disrespectful, because I come here with my heart about something that I'm extremely passionate about. And I know that not everybody agrees with me, but I just please ask that same respect, please. anyway, I want to begin by stating that I have had an opportunity to sit down with and speak to the Director of Animal Services today. We talked about a lot of the things that I've come to you about and addressed the concerns regarding the animals, among other important concerns. And I want to thank her for that. I will say that I'm not completely supportive of this partnership and hope that this does not sink us deeper into the destruction of animals. As I've stated before, I am committed to helping and will do what I can, wherever I can, and be of use for the sake of the better environment for our animals and our community, and help with all and hope that with all the new volunteers applying, that we can all help make a difference. I also plead with all of you for allocation of additional funding to entice a good on-site vet, which may not only help with our population issue, but with the added expense of having to outsource these procedures for our animals. This could potentially save so many more lives and alleviate the burden placed on our rescue partners that save so many animals out of our shelter. I hope to continue working along with Animal Services, either as a volunteer or along with Animal Control Commission, which really needs to help support Animal Services and build the bridge that we desperately need between the community, Animal Services, and the City Council, so that we can rebuild the faith and trust to help get these animals off the street and into loving homes through a much-needed partnership within our city. In saying this, the commission really needs to be reactivated and do the work that they were appointed for, and more importantly, reaching out to the community through city and park district events, promoting awareness, increased knowledge and education to reconnect our citizens with the much needed resources that are available. And last, we need all hands on deck. This Animal Control Commission, we need those seats filled. Councilmember Figueroa, your appointed commissioner, has not shown up in many months. If we can reappoint, and the clerk, if you can put out a notice that we need seats filled.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Anthony Lucy. I'm the vice principal at ASA Charter School on Northeast Street in San Bernardino. I'd first of all like to thank Councilman Reynoso for coming out to our school and taking the time out of his busy schedule to come and see what we're dealing with, and from our perspective, he's a good man. He's here for the right reasons, so I really appreciate you doing that. We need your help. I'm here tonight to ask that you would consider installing a stoplight at the corner of 35th Street and East Street, right in front of our school. Our school is right at the bottom of the hill where the old Castaways restaurant is, and if you're familiar with it, cars come flying down that hill and right past our school all throughout the day, every day. A few weeks ago, we had one of our students was coming to school in the morning, one of our 8th grade students, and he was struck by a car that was speeding by on the crosswalk right outside of our school, and he was suffering, swelling of the brain and brain bleeding, and thank God, I can say right now he's recovering and is doing well. Yep. But this is, we're really lucky this has only happened once. It's a threat, a real threat every day. My own daughter goes to the school, and it's just scary. We've had cars coming down that hill who have crashed through our fence and went into our playground where our kids are playing every day. And there's nothing there right now. There's no lights, no speed bumps, nothing but a couple of signs to help with the situation. We have also, our staff has to pull in to our parking lot, which is on East Street. And they have to cross that traffic that comes down right there, and cars, again, speeding by. We've had multiple staff members who have been rear-ended pulling in there, have almost been T-boned, trying to turn in to get to work in the morning. And also right outside the front of our school on 35th, we're having parents who are pulling in and stopping and blocking that whole area, and then other people are trying to pull in behind them, and it's backing things up and almost causing more accidents. So we really need something done about it. it's just really scary. So if we would really appreciate your consideration in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, I'm Keith Benitez, Chair for the San Bernardino County Youth Advisory Board. I am here in favor of the item number 4 for HAP funding for a $200 bed navigation center to help many more unhoused individuals in our San Bernardino. Especially with our upcoming holiday season, I feel like this is vital to help many of our vulnerable citizens out on the streets, especially with the cold weather coming in. Also helping them with recovery, getting good jobs, begin their pathway away from homelessness, and get people off the streets. I hope you can find it in your hearts to understand that this will benefit our city tenfold. And if I might remind you, our first city youth point in time count is coming up this January. And if we can get more support with our unhoused population, this will be great, especially with us in the Youth Advisory Board. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Micaiah McKenzie. I am here to also in favor of item 4. Now, I did have a whole speech about it, but unfortunately I heard about what happened on October the 18th. And it is it's hard to put into words of how disgusted I was that such comments were made, and that not many people helped out in that situation. It was very frightening and scary. To be honest, I kind of forgot what I wanted to say, actually. So I'm just gonna end it there. Yeah.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Ulises Benitez. I am here on the San Bernardino Youth Advisory Board, and I would just like to say to approve the funding for the homeless housing assistance and prevention, to accept the grant because it'll help the Youth Advisory Board so we could get them off the streets. But I also would like to say to accept the $40,000 for the community center, because I know that will also help them too. So that's it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Bernard, and I'm a lifelong resident of San Bernardino. I work with Inland Empire United, and we're in support of our partners with COPE and ICUC and the NAACP and all folks with the ask that we have tonight, right? While we're extremely disappointed in the circumstances of the past 2 weeks, I really want to emphasize the solutions that are in front of us. The formal investigation into the Zoom meeting on the previous City Council meeting on October 18th, reaffirming San Bernardino's adoption to the resolution regarding racism as a public health crisis. We also, there was an ask for support economic development initiatives for marginalized communities, emphasizing Black-owned businesses and job creation. This is a diverse city, and our economics should reflect that. Establish mechanisms for accountability and transparency, including community oversight boards composed of community-based organizations, congregations, educators, and students dedicated to eliminating racist practices in our city. Collaborate with Black and other community organizations, nonprofits, and advocacy groups addressing racial and public health disparities. Continuous evaluate and update policies to remain responsive to the community's evolving needs. We formally demand a civil rights audit as a tool of evaluation and accountability in this process. Lastly, mandate an othering and belonging training program for city council members and staff. This training will provide valuable insight into the experiences of diverse communities, foster empathy, and help create an environment where all San Bernardino residents feel welcome, valued, seen, and respected. Those were the asks that were made at the previous press conference, and if we're looking at them, this community deserves that, and then some. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. Rabbi, can you turn on the mic, please? Thank you.
Many of us are here tonight united in condemning hateful speech that took place 2 weeks ago. I must tell you that I'm saddened by some of the insensitive, hateful speech that I've heard tonight by people, many of whom I've worked with over the years, many decades, to bring about a more civil community. We have a right and a responsibility to be angered and repulsed by what took place in this council recently. Any attack on a person's race, religion, ethnicity, or gender is wrong and should be condemned and awaken all of us to the continued presence in our city, our county, our state, our nation of any claims of supremacy. I, for one, appreciate all of the statements made by all of you, the members of the council, and our mayor. What took place here was overt, heard words, but overt words, vicious as they might be, hurtful as they might be, are not the only forms of prejudice that exist. Equally, if not even more disturbing, are the subtle statements, the actions that continue to persist in our world today, and we need to be alert, not just to words that are inexcusable, but to acts that are inexcusable. It's hard for any of us to express our anger. Some might do it right at the moment, others need time to think about their statement. I commend our mayor and each member of our council for their words. My hope is that all of us can work together to reduce and then eliminate the various isms that continue to exist: racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, anti-Islamism, anti-indigenous peopleisms. Our task is to move forward. Our goal is to move forward. Let us do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim Prince, lifelong resident of San Bernardino and attorney practicing over 30 years in San Bernardino. I'm also president of the Democratic Luncheon Club of San Bernardino, which was very proud to support Councilwoman Kim Calvin because of things she's done, like her performance tonight. Amazing, Kimberly. Thank you for your leadership. Complacency is the enemy of a strong, vibrant city, of an all-America city. And complacency has befallen the empty City Hall on D Street and its former occupants and every member of the council. Every week that goes by where we have an empty City Hall, where we have street lights on 3rd Street leading to that City Hall that are out without explanation, My CRM was returned and said closed because we've already had it reported. So I guess I won't be getting status updates on why the downtown lights are out. When I crossed 5th Street to walk into this chamber, it was in the darkness. The lights are out on 5th Street. The lights are out on D Street. This is unacceptable for one night, 2 nights, 3 nights, weeks. How about the empty buildings downtown? These buildings are unsafe for the homeless people that inhabit them. They're unsafe for the citizens, and it's an embarrassment to this city that it allows such conditions to exist month after month after month. The Lonergan building on 4th and D Street, the old Sun complex of buildings at 4th and D Street are just 2 of the many examples of buildings that sit month after month. Maybe a passive profit for their owners or a tax write-off. How about the Radisson Hotel? Have you instructed your legal counsel to look at a nuisance lawsuit for maintaining an empty high-rise in downtown for years? But yet, we just seem to tolerate it in San Bernardino. Mr. City Manager, I was not a fan of yours. I was not at all in favor of your selection. It's another embarrassment. But now that you're here, show us that you're not complacent. Where are your proposals, sir? Let's hit the ground running. This city is in desperate need of help. Please act with urgency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Negrete, Miriam Nieto, Jose Mendoza, Jody Eisenberg, and Lydia Zavala.
Please state your name.
Hello, Council. My name is Miriam Nieto. I am a resident of San Bernardino since 2007. I currently live in the 7th Ward, but I lived in the West Side in the 6th Ward for so many years. I'm here today because, as all the community members have stated, I was not here for the October 18th meeting that took place, but I did get to hear and listen and, talk to a lot of community members, and it's a shame. It's a shame that that happened, and it's more of a shame that the left side of the council was not present when it was supposed to be a united front to say no to racism and to really take the opportunity to stand with your colleagues. You guys didn't take that opportunity. And in that way, you guys failed us. You failed our community, you failed San Bernardino, and you guys could have showed some unity there, and you didn't. And now here we are, and instead of actually apologizing, all we are hearing from you guys is excuses. Excuses of why it is that you didn't show up, excuses of why it is that you didn't condemn this sooner, excuses of why it is that you were not in a unified force. But also, I wanna say, this isn't something new in San Bernardino. These systems change, the systems that make this racism have been happening for years in our city, in our community. Our Black community has felt it more, and they felt it just recently, but it's something that's always happened, and we need to stand strong to make those changes, but also visibly. I mean, just as we see you guys here at the dais, we see our Black community to the right and our brown and white community to the left. That is visibly in our head a divisive state already. If Teddy Sanchez can just hop over a seat to Sandra Ibarra to chat to Juan Figueroa, why can't we make a more inclusive sitting space where everybody can visibly see an actual united front, where it's not white and brown in one side and Black in the other? That is visibly, inherently in our heads, seeing a divisive state. You want to model behavior, you start by you guys. You start by showing us that you guys care for our community and that there is something that can be done visibly, actionably, and emotionally, caring for the people, making sure that when something happens, you have all the time to reach out to those people that were affected. That is your job and that is your duty.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello. Hi, I'm Sharon Negretti. Sorry, my voice is a mess tonight. I stand before you tonight to urge your support for an initiative that holds the key to a brighter future for our city and its inhabitants, the growth and development of our city animal shelter. The plight of our furry friends demands our attention as too many innocent lives are being lost, and it is within our power to make a change. Every day, countless animals find themselves homeless, abandoned, or neglected. The current state of our animal shelter is struggling to cope with the overwhelming number of animals in need. It's a heartbreaking reality that many of these innocent creatures face euthanasia. Due to lack of space and resources, we cannot turn a blind eye to their suffering any longer. The proposed changes and actions to support the growth and development of our city animal shelter can possibly give the opportunity to save lives and create a compassionate community that values the welfare of all beings. The initiative may have a profound impact on the city, and here's why it is absolutely worthwhile. Firstly, we must recognize the moral imperative to protect and care for those who cannot speak for themselves. Animals, just like humans, deserve love, care, and a chance at a fulfilling life. By investing in the expansion and improvement of our shelter, we are demonstrating our commitment to creating a compassionate society that values the lives of all creatures, great and small. Secondly, a thriving animal shelter will enhance our city's reputation and attract compassionate individuals and families who seek to adopt and provide loving homes for these animals. This not only benefits the animals themselves, but also brings positive economic and social impacts to our community. A vibrant shelter will foster a sense of pride among our residents and encourage a culture of responsible pet ownership. Furthermore, by investing in the growth and development of our animal shelter, we can proactively address the root causes of animal overpopulation through increased education and outreach programs. We can promote spaying and neutering. And the importance of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please go to the animal shelter and take a look.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Jody Eisenberg. I'm sorry, Jody Eisenberg. I'm a 4th Ward resident, and I have nothing to add to what other folks have already said this evening about what happened on October 18th. I do agree with Rabbi Cohen that we all react differently. We all take things differently, say things differently. I would encourage you all, particularly the white and Hispanic members of our community, to talk among each other. The use of the term inappropriate is inappropriate for what happened here, and I apologize and am so ashamed that this happened in our community. I apologize to you, Council Member Alexander, to Councilwoman Calvin, and to Council Member Reynoso, and to Ms. Malone. I am so sorry that you were subjected to that, and to every Black member of our community who is affected by this, and in fact, to all of the members of our community. This affects all of us. This affects every one of us in this community. We have to do better than this, folks. We know we can. We're here because we care about this community, and we want to see the change that we all know can happen here. And I hope that we take this incident to heart. You do know that we were not the only community that was attacked by Zoom people coming in and doing exactly what happened. This is something that we all need to band together and to make sure never happens again, and to change what's going on right now, right here, across the country, across the world. But this is our chance to really come together and to show our solidarity as a community and for us to make a difference here. And I know we are all trying to do our best, and there are better things we can all do to make this community grow and be connected and to care about each other, because we are an incredibly diverse community, and we should take advantage of that and grow this community in those ways. And I hope we will make this a first step going forward to really make change. And do something about that stupid Radisson, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Lydia Savala. Safe to say we have received a lesson in situation awareness, and I thank all of you who have spoken tonight. Thank you. I am a product of San Bernardino, St. Bernardine's Hospital, Valley College, graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with a degree in business and a minor in accounting. I'm from a generation that took typing and shorthand in high school and led to a clerical position at our local IRS on Sierra Way, ultimately leading to a long 37-year career as an intern auditor, manager, and research analyst. Prior to my retirement, I started a nonprofit dog rescue, which since 2006 has rescued and rehomed outside of San Bernardino over 5,000 dogs, 95% from San Bernardino, all spayed and neutered by my organization. So I think it's safe to say I have an accurate understanding of the stray dog dynamic and the local culture as it affects dogs and cats here. I am encouraged by the PowerPoint I saw this evening. I didn't catch all of it, but I think it's a great step in the right direction, and I'll be encouraged to see the implementation of community outreach programs and look forward to viewing specific action plans, because the average typical stray dog in San Bernardino that I pick up off the street is young, intact, not spayed, not neutered, no microchip, no ID, has parasites, giardia, coccidia, fleas, ticks, badly matted, and no owner is looking for them. The spreadsheet on the shelter website uses rudimentary accounting, and the percentages involve fourth grade math. But I didn't come up with those numbers. I actually came up with lower rates, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but I do think there is a call for some clarity or some additional information. The greater concern to me is the appearance of any success those statistics may give, and you'd have to be living in a paper bag to not know that the dogs in this city are in a state of crisis. And this I know from looking at next door, where when someone finds a dog, the neighbors are emphatically, adamantly tell the person, here's where to look for the owner and do not send it to the shelter, which tells me there is a complete lack of confidence. And now there's a plan to take on strays from cities of Colton, Rialto, and Fontana, which I say not without funding. And I ask, where's the mobile unit? When can we activate a mobile spay-neuter unit? Fund, fund, fund.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and guests. My name is Jose Mendoza, and I'm with the Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 12, San Bernardino, California. We're a local nonprofit assisting veterans to receive their benefits and claims. We also have a close community ties, where we offer a food bank in partnership with Feeding America and DoorDash. It's an upscaled version of Meals on Wheels. We have multiple programs to assist our veterans and our community. I'm here to bring about our upcoming events. On 11/11, we have a Veterans Day salute with the City of San Bernardino, where we'll be honoring our local resident, Vietnam veteran Ruben Luis, a Purple Heart recipient, right here at the same location. On November 13th, we will be with Golden Corral with our military appreciation, where we'll be dispersing out free meals to our veteran community. On November 15th, we have our veteran turkey giveaway, sponsored by Feeding America and DAV 12. On December 1st, we have Operation Christmas Joy, where we're teaming up with Home Depot, where we're dispersing out 200 Christmas trees to our veteran community. On December 16th, we're teaming up with Toys for Tots and dispersing out toys to our out of our local chapter here in San Bernardino, located at 2501 Pacific Street, San Bernardino, California, 92404. All this information can be found on our website at davchapter12california.org, or we made a nice video on YouTube. You can Google or you can YouTube DAV Chapter 12, San Bernardino, California, and the video will pop right up. Thank you. That is my time.
Thank you. That concludes all of our public comments, correct, Madam City Clerk?
Correct. We do not have any remote comments.
Okay, great. Mr. City Manager, did you have anything to add?
Mayor, Council, I do not.
Okay. Thank you. We are moving to City Manager's report, but we don't have one tonight for this council meeting. So we're going to move to our consent calendar. Items 2 to 10. Number 9 is pulled by the City Manager for further review. Do we have any pulls?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to remove the balance of the consent items. Any pulls? Seeing none, can we call for the votes?
Councilmember Sanchez? Yes. Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move on to discussion item number 11, but this is also pulled by the City Manager, so we don't have any further discussion items. So we're going to move on to items to be considered for future meetings. Number 12, Councilmember Reynoso, could you speak to your request to consider the installation of a stoplight on the corner of 35th Street and East Street to enhance school safety?
Yeah, I know this might be a task. I appreciate, Ernesto, you following Mr. Lucy out. Appreciate Mr. Lucy for coming here. I had the opportunity to speak to the staff there, and there's nothing there, period, right now. But I think that even if we did put like lights, I requested a stoplight just to see what this process would look like. Because even if we did stripe the ground, yeah. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but it's very self-explanatory. Mr. Lucy laid out that Ruben Marin almost lost his life, an 8th grader, by being struck by his vehicle. I'm no stranger to that. I walked this city myself. But I asked for approval on this so we can move forward with something like this. I think it's great. So I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
Second.
There's a motion second.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Oh, Councilmember Figueroa has a
I
question.
just have a quick question. Is this the standard procedure as far as how we get other lights on this? Because it's my understanding that we have like a study that needs to happen. Because if this is it, then I have a long list of other locations as well. So if this is it, who do I present the list to?
Mayor, Councilmember Figueroa, normally we would go through the budget process and the CIP, but staff, I know that Councilmember Reynoso wants to just have it up for discussion. I don't know if you want it for approval right now, because I would go through the budget process.
Yeah.
A future
'Cause
session
I
for
support it. I
discussion.
just wanted some clarity as far as what is the actual process of submitting some of these requests, because I get them all the time.
Councilmember Figueroa, normally,
I think I can maybe chime in on this. So essentially what happens is when we get a request for an area like this, it comes to Public Works. It can either be through a CRM system or even just an email. And what we do is we initiate a traffic engineering study for that particular area, which we've already initiated, by the way, for this particular area. And then after that process occurs, depending on the location, we actually have to engage the community and get 60% consensus, which is usually very easy. The majority of the community members will want that because they're aware of what is happening at that specific location. After that occurs, we obviously try to find the funding source for it, whether it be through a CIP program or through potential grants that might exist out there. And then it does come back to council for approval before we actually begin the installation of the traffic signal. I wanted to add something for that specific location. There are some things that we can do without having to go through this basically elongated process. What we will be doing is installing flashers, so that's something that we do not require a study for, which will essentially provide some sort of a measure that tells people to slow down. And I'll be in contact with PD, so perhaps they can add those speed trailers. I think you've seen them before, where as you pass them, it tells you to slow down or tells you your speed and starts to basically flash. So those are the two things that we can do in advance of this study, but I wanted to again reassure you that that has already been initiated. One other point, we are currently engaged in conducting a study of all of the crosswalks that are near the schools, and we've also gotten a list of all of the charter schools, because there's just so many nowadays, from the Central Unified School District. And so all of these are essentially being identified. We're looking at upgrading all of these locations and specifically identifying what we can do to make these crosswalks safer for students. A third point actually is that it's not just a crosswalk, it's how you get to those crosswalks, which can be a problem, or actually which can be dangerous. So we're also looking at those specific areas where we see that school kids are basically, perhaps they're going through another part of town and there may not be a crosswalk, so we need to identify that. So I wanted to reassure you that that is underway. But in the interim, we will be taking care of that by installing that specific location so that we can install those flashers and potentially those speed trailers. So,
thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Can we call for the vote?
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to Mayor and City Council updates. Councilmember Sanchez?
I had the privilege of touring the Norton Science and Language Academy here in town earlier today. Staff was wonderful, very welcoming, and I wanted to read a quick description of the gem we have kind of hidden in our city. Again, it's a charter school that's a nationally recognized California public charter school. It's a Spanish dual immersion program school with a focus on STEM. Bilingualism, multiculturalism, science is a key subject taught every day, starting from kindergarten all the way through high school. Their goal is for all students to be able to speak, read, and write English and Spanish in all academic areas after continuing attendance for at least 5 years. They also have a 25-year partnership with NASA and the Jet Propulsion Lab. These partnerships carry an incredible weight, an incredible reputation, and we have a school here in town that has partnerships with those nationally recognized institutions. So they're doing great work. The school is continuing to expand, and I will be looking forward to teaming up with them in future endeavors. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Figueroa? None? Mayor Pro Tem?
The only thing I want to say tonight is that I want to welcome our city manager. I don't think anyone has actually, from the dais tonight, or has actually welcomed you to your first meeting. So I appreciate you being here. We do have our challenges. There's no doubt about that. I think you know what you're in for. You and I have had some conversations about where we're going, and I have big expectations, and I just want to welcome you aboard, albeit it's been a little bumpy, but we can get over the bumps and we can move this place forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes, I'd like to echo those sentiments. I know I had the chance to sit down with you earlier this week. Got your work cut out for you, but if you're successful, we're successful. So we're going to do everything we can to support you. We're a team now. So thank you. I wanted to highlight some events that I had attended. The city put on the trick-or-treat event up at the Vertimont Community Center. The Parks and Rec staff are rock stars. I love being around them. They remind me of not only the best parts of our city, but just the services they provide to the youth, and just their energy is just contagious. I love our Parks and Rec team. I love all of our city staff. You know that. But I get to see the Parks and Rec staff a lot at these great community events. So Liddy, thank you for orchestrating that. Thank you to your team, especially Alex up there at the Vertimont Community Center and all the team. And I appreciate all the booths being separated so people have an idea of what our Parks and Rec staff actually does. I also got to attend the North Verdamont PTA Fall Festival. That was a really cool event. I got there, I had a couple events to get to, so I got there right on time. And sometimes, you know, things aren't up and running, but I got to see the end product later, and it was incredible. Great space for all the North Verdamont residents. I wanted to obviously wish you all Feliz Dia de los Muertos. Today is the start. Some people will celebrate for a few days. Some will celebrate for weeks. I created a little altar for my father, who passed away, with his favorite things, which is grape juice, watermelon. He's a Latino, believe it or not. Which is grape juice, watermelon, and he loves David's sunflower seeds, Lay's potato chips, the classic ones. And so I put that out. And for those who don't or aren't aware of the culture and what we do to celebrate our past living residents and family members, is that we're reminded that they haven't quite left us, and they never really do. And I feel very much so like my father's son these days, especially as a politician, something that he never wanted any part of, but an educator in a different capacity. And so thank you to my dad for being my dad. And thank you to all of you for being yourselves and being proud to be yourselves and celebrating our culture. We have an opportunity here as the city of San Bernardino to represent. The city is no secret. We are about 70% Latino. We have to do that. And I appreciate Mr. Ojeda. You know, we don't always agree. But when we have community meetings, I had to come out of pocket, but there's opportunity there to get reimbursed, et cetera. But we have to have Spanish translation at these meetings. We have a lot of people who are not English speakers, and we have to meet people where they're at. The Mexican consulate is also celebrating. It's over now. It was from 5 to 8, but they had a couple of little groups doing dances, young kids doing the dances, painted in calaveras. But it was awesome. And I wanted to thank the Mexican consulate for always, you know, being there and being a resource for Mexican people here in the city who don't feel like they have anywhere else to go and, you know, take that first step to either become a citizen or find resources, opportunities to be an entrepreneur in the city. So thank you to them. Also want to highlight, obviously, we're having Dia de los Muertos celebration started today, and it'll go through and culminate this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Court Street Square. I saw the altar. Awesome. Thank you for that. It feels good as a Latino, I'm Black and Mexican, to roll down that street and see something where I see both sides of myself, you know? So thank you on a personal level. Also wanted to highlight what I see. I know someone was mentioning on Nextdoor about the animals. We do see that more than anything. I actually take the time every day, sometimes to my own detriment, to scroll on Nextdoor and see what's happening in the neighborhoods. And I saw just an outpouring of people who are so grateful for the amount of trick-or-treaters they got this year. And that's a testament to our police department, Parks and Rec, city staff for lighting, the whole city, because kids feel safe. I used to walk, and my parents thought I was crazy. Me and my friend, we used to walk on the south side of San Bernardino at 9 o'clock at night trick-or-treating. My mom's like, what are you doing? And it was like, I love this city, and I want to be outside in my city. And kids are now feeling that. Their parents are feeling it, and it's contagious. So thank you all. And thank you for the residents for opening their garages, for chilling outside, for offering food, even when some people were passing by. That's great. And that's the best of us. And also, my next agenda item I wanted to highlight, and I know it was something that not a lot of people, we know there's a big price tag on something like this, and there was budget cuts made back in the day, but there used to be a substation, a police substation in the north end in the Kendall Plaza right there. And we got that big old vacant building that's Rite Aid now. Might not end up that way, but I'd like to move forward in exploring that, so that'll be on the end of the next agenda. Big price tag. Hopefully we don't have a lot of opposition to that. I know we need substations in other parts of the city as well, so hopefully to open the door to that conversation as well. But I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Calvin?
Yes, good evening, San Bernardino, and thank you all for being here. So I wanted to acknowledge, of course, Park and Rec. You guys just continue to knock it out the park, and we appreciate every culture gets to be represented here in our city, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm looking forward to what our holiday escapade is going to be looking like downtown, because I know she knows that she has to outdo herself from last year, that they have to. So I can only imagine what's coming forward. But I also want to shout out Public Works. We see you guys all over this entire city. I have to drive it to drop off a grandchild at school in the morning, so I go from the west side to the east side, back around. I take a different route, and I can see utility trucks. I can see trees being trimmed. I can see the streets, potholes being filled. But, you know, we have some areas of which, you know, that we still need to take action, and we want to make sure that our community member back here that he doesn't come and is angry with us. So we're going to make sure that we do a better job, right? Because we still have to continue to do a better job. But again, thank you all. The beautiful report on our animals, because yes, going through next door, which I do every evening as well, there are a ton of them on there, and we do want to make sure that we're getting better at what we do there. Today, I was able to serve with my West End lieutenant, our commander, Lieutenant Echeverria, and I went to Dignity Health Community Hospital. They opened up a trailer. This trailer is for our first responders, so that when they are there and they're in the bays and they have to sit there and wait to see what happens with the patient that they brought in, Dignity Health decided to create this trailer for them to be able to have a little respite. They can go in, sit back, watch some television, just rest for a minute, get some coffee or tea. And I thought how remarkable that this was, considering that we need them. So it's for fire, for PD, and for our ambulance supporters. So very grateful to Lieutenant Echeverria for making sure that I was aware and knew and in place. 95 years, 7-Day Adventist, 16th Street 7-Day Adventist has been in Ward 6 in our community. I was grateful to be able to be there just to say thank you for them serving as long as they have. Community Action Partnership, well, we know what good partners that they are here in our city, that they had their gala this past weekend, and that was nice to attend to. And I did get to go to NHSIE, their gala. But more importantly, it's what these community organizations are doing here, helping with housing in our community. And it's important that we acknowledge them and for their support that they offer us too. I appreciate that. But yesterday I got to hang out at a couple elementary schools here in the city, because that's my favorite thing to do, is to hang out with the kids. And I saw more Wednesday Addams than I'd ever seen. Yeah, everybody was Wednesday Addams. I don't know if you guys knew that or saw, but everybody was Wednesday Addams, including one of my granddaughters. But it was a good time, so that you got to see smiles on some faces. But thank you guys for all that you guys do. We appreciate it. And Mr. City Manager, welcome.
Thank you. Councilmember Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to let you know a few things that I attended with Councilmember Calvin on the CAPS program there. It was a great program. I believe it was the Clark family that received an award for rehabilitating their family. They lost their kids, they were on the verge of separation, and when they read their story, how they came back together, it was moving, and that was touching, that they could rehabilitate themselves. We can always rehabilitate ourselves. That was a story that showed that we can always rehabilitate ourselves. It was impressive. The way church was there, they also, Pastor Marco and them, how they do their outreach was amazing. It was really amazing, and I appreciate the way and what they have done in the community in the city of San Bernardino. Their church on Arrowhead and 10th Street does an amazing job. Those other issues that Councilmember Calvin did not bother to share, that she got awards from all those other programs that I can't name because I forgot where she went to, but she's got a whole bunch of awards, all those programs, and congratulations. To all my fellow United States Marines, November 10th is our birthday, so to all you guys out there, hoorah. On November 11th is Veterans Day, so to all the veterans out there, we will have a program, Liddy, where are you? On November 11th, 9 a.m. at Feldheim Library. Please come out and join us in the celebrations of Veterans Day. Okay, we had our annual 7th Ward Trunk or Treat that happened at Arrowhead Country Club, and it was awesome beans. You guys missed it. It was really nice. In fact, we not only had trunks, but we had houses that decorated around the parking lot that said, hey, next year, let's all get together and decorate our houses. So one house says, I'm going to decorate my house better than your house. And it was just like, yeah, we'll do that. So next year, We're gonna have house and trunk or treat. Is that a thing? Houses and trunk or treat? It is now. Okay, we did that, and there's been a lot said and about this issue on October 18th, and I didn't quite know what to say. Well, I know what to say, but in Buffalo in 2022, a guy took 6 hours to drive there to kill 10 African Americans. And it's become so prevalent that we become benign to the issue because it doesn't affect us, because it doesn't affect you in the row, or it doesn't affect you right there. It doesn't affect you when Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia gets gunned down, because it doesn't affect you. It's not you in the front row. It doesn't affect you when Sandra Bland or Tamir Rice goes down. It doesn't affect you the same way it affects me or someone else of my ethnicity, because it doesn't. I'm here to share with you that when it happened to Emmett Till in August 28, 1955, those same words were given honor before all those names that I just read. Those same words and those attacks and those people died all the same way when those same words were given. So I can't share with you because you don't know. So unless I share with you about these words and how much it means to African Americans, because they were preceded with attacks. And one of my constituents was sitting in the room and called me and was worried about what's next. But you don't know because it doesn't affect you. So all I can do is share with you, like I said from the dais. It means something because they all proceeded with attacks. People died. I don't forget. I say their names because I don't want to forget.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, for me, October 10th to the 14th, it was an honor to participate in the Mayor's Institute on City Design in Boston, Massachusetts. I was one of 7 mayors selected to join this program. It was fully paid for by the Institute, so it was such an honor. At this program, it's pretty much to educate mayors to assist our cities and ensure that we're making purposeful, positive impacts in our cities by ensuring that our people, the residents of lives in this community, through design, shaping cities that are resilient, equitable, and thriving. Each of us as mayors, we were able to present case studies, and my case study was Carousel Mall. And because our city had failed 3 times, this was an opportunity to hear experts and truly experts, even White House officials was there with us to really sit down with us to hear our case and how we could be more effective, especially with the next RFP process that we're going to put out there. And I look forward to, there is a follow-up meeting for myself and city manager and staff to kind of talk about what input they could provide us to make sure that we're mindful. One of the things that I got out of that program is that arts and culture is a huge, huge part of building your cities and our community specifically. So that was that trip to Boston. The following week, I was able to to participate through the Bloomberg Philanthropies. Again, this trip was completely paid for by the Bloomberg Philanthropies City Lab, and I was joined by other mayors throughout the world. I mean, not just the United States. And it was beautiful because we were looking at what we could do to find innovative solutions for our communities. And it was an unparalleled opportunity to discuss innovative strategies and insights with each other as mayors and with world-class subject matter experts. There was a huge discussion on generative artificial intelligence and the opportunities, risks, and implications for local governments. Again, it was a great opportunity for me as a mayor to make sure that we are all working towards building this city beautifully, and it's collaboratively, it's inclusive, and I'm just excited, Charles, for you to come in and be willing to be committed as our permanent city manager. Looking forward to working with you, staff, and we have an amazing staff. I know there's room for improvements, and for us to be mindful as leaders to listen to the community and their outcries, their concerns. We cannot just dismiss it. We just need to really listen intently. And how do we move forward collaboratively so that way we are all part of at the table to move our city forward collectively as leaders. October 25th, we had an honor to have a senior advisor to our governor on homelessness and housing, Hafsa Keika. Thank you, council members Alexander and Councilmember Ibarra for joining me, as well as staff, Cassandra, and her team member, Ashley. And what's beautiful was that we had a county representatives with us too. So to see city, county working together, and for state officials to see that, it was just a great dialogue discussion. If my office have not sent you to the entire council a report of that event, that visit, you'll see that soon, because we were working on trying to generate a report following that visit and let you know what the outcome was. But I tell you, there's lots of interest from the state level, from the federal level, to see San Bernardino through successfully and beautifully. And that's my job as the mayor, to make sure that I'm making sure San Bernardino is known in the sense where we need help. We need all the hands-on deck help, and to make sure that we're heading down the right path. And please, I know there's a lot of challenges that the city is facing and has faced, but we'll get through it, and I believe it. I feel it, I see it, and I know it was unfortunate from the last council meeting, but we'll get through that too and make sure that we are all mindful of one another in order to move forward. Thank you, Parks, for your amazing trick-or-treat events throughout the city. My kids loved it, they enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it myself, so thank you. And it was an honor to be a judge on Halloween Day at the police department, judging on pumpkins carving. I was so amazed by the talents by our police department staff on how they can carve such amazing pumpkins. And my 5-year-old was with me, and he chose the most scariest pumpkin that was there. And I was impressed by that too, so that was the winner for our selection as a judge. And that's pretty much it. And community, we hear you, and let's really move forward. And my colleagues, hearing one another and just really listening intently, it's important. And if we could just really stay focused on the work at hand, because we have a lot of work to do, and it's not easy work. I want to thank staff. Thank you for being in this organization. You have a hand into transforming the city. We can do it as long as you're not willing to give up. Please don't give up. The city needs you. We all need each other to just see the city through. San Bernardino is going to be the amazing city that everyone's going to look to right now. I'm telling you, all eyes are on us. Let's go. So, meeting's adjourned, 9:33 p.m. Thank you, everyone. The next meeting is November 15th. At the Feldheim Central Library, located at 555 West 6th Street, San Bernardino, California, 92401. Closed session